Welcome back to The Betrayed. I'm Gina Beck.
This is Drew Williams.
Thank you for listening, liking, commenting, and subscribing. I appreciate y'all, especially the reviews on Apple Podcasts. It really means a lot.
Yeah, thank you guys for the continued support. We made it. This is episode 50. All you guys that have been here this entire time, I can't thank you enough. It's been an awesome journey, and I can't wait to keep making these. So thank you guys again.
How are you, Drew?
I'm doing all right. How are you, G?
Doing good. I'm excited to jump into this podcast. I would just like to jump in right away. I'd like to introduce Jay with Worldwide Predator Hunters. He's the founder. He has so much he'd like to tell us, and we have so many questions for him. Welcome, Jay. How are you?
Pretty good. Nice to be on your show.
Yeah, thanks for coming in, bro.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for joining us. I have so many questions for you, and I know Drew has a few. I'd like to start with, what got you started? What got you started into predator hunting? What made you want to be a founder of an organization?
Well, back in 2008, well, we'll back up. When I was younger, I was sexual abused by my next door neighbor. And all my life, I always wanted to figure out how to be able to catch these guys and not let them go. Well, then I seen Shane Coyle from the prank call Mafia, one of his episodes where his daughter was talking to some older guy, and then he started pretending like his daughter. And then after that, that got me going to, figuring out everything. And then once I backtracked everything and figured out how to get the decoys going and how to do the profiles and all that, I started doing it myself. Back in 2018, I started Worldwide Predator Hunters.
Yeah, it's an amazing organization. I've been following you since you started, and I mean, it's been a journey for all of us, but especially you. You've lost so many pages, you've been through so many YouTubes and Facebooks, and I think the only thing that has stuck is Instagram, but that's a little harder to spread awareness on. So, why do you think that you've lost all these pages? Do you think it's people reporting you, or do you think it's Facebook's fault?
No, it's not. It's both. I think it's Facebook, as I think Mr. Mark Zuckerberg, or whatever you want to call his last name, as I think he's involved in a lot of this that's going on. I think, in my opinion, I think he's behind all this trafficking and all this predator stuff going around. We can't,
Right.
pinpoint it yet, but one of these days
Yeah, it's one of those things that there's a lot of things that support that evidence. There are other things that don't. It's one of those. Hopefully, in our lifetime, we'll be able to hear the truth about it, because it's definitely rampant, and hopefully we start seeing some changes.
Well, that's what we're hoping.
Now, the whole time you've been doing this, is there been a specific point or experience or bust that you learned something from?
There's quite a few, to tell you the truth. As for one safety reason, I had a gun flashed at me, so I learned that you can't just walk up on a car by yourself holding a camera, because it's hard for you to be able to pay attention to the predator and making sure that the camera's on him. So that is one thing that I can say that I learned. So now you got to go at least 2 or 3 deep. One person holding the camera, one person, doing security, and then one person, exposing them. That's what we do for, small areas. Now, bigger areas, we take at least 4 or 5 people for security, and one person doing the talking, and then one person doing the camera. After I had that episode.
No, it seems like a lesson learned, and lesson learned well. I mean, it sounds like you got your 6, your 9, your 3 covered at all times, pretty much.
Yep.
What has been most challenging out of everything. I mean, as far as your entire experience, not just the bus, just like the entire
Get
thing.
getting law enforcement and the DAs to work with us. That is the most challenging and the most, you know, hard work to be doing, because you got to convince the DA, you got to convince the police that, you know, these are the right chat logs. They're not altered. They're not, you know, being set up. These are legit, you know, evidence. As you
Yeah,
know,
100%.
In Wisconsin, I'll tell you, they do not like us. They say that we hurt their
Oh
evidence.
no.
They say that we are vigilantes. We hurt the evidence. We we're just, you know, crime fighters, wannabes. So what I do in Wisconsin is I expose them. I still expose them. I still go out and I still meet them. But the DA and the police, they don't want nothing to do with it. What baffles me is you got Illinois that's right at the border of Wisconsin, and they work with us. Okay. And then you got Minnesota, the BCA, the feds, that is right at the border of Wisconsin, and they work with us. You know, so all the states around
It's
Wisconsin is working with us, but Wisconsin itself wants no part in it.
Yeah,
So
it's a
that's
little
so
shocking.
crazy.
yeah, so that's telling me, in my opinion, that there's somebody in that higher up rank that is afraid that something's going to come out sooner or later.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, I live in California, so I have one of the most corrupt police departments in
Oh,
the
I
United
love.
States.
Oh
So
no, no, no! You live in California. I beg to differ. I
I,
work with.
I've,
I
I've I've been raided by gang task units wrongfully. I've been arrested wrongfully. I've had
yeah.
buddies that have been arrested wrongfully. I would,
Okay. Well,
I mean, my experience in California with law enforcement is, I think there are good guys. I have a family member who is a decent cop, but we have sheriffs that completely deny concealed carry permits, and they have for 40 plus years, which mine being Santa Barbara County. I just can't respect anyone who enforces unconstitutional laws, and I feel like all of them do that. I mean,
well,
you
yeah,
look at gun rights in California; they're basically non-existent.
yeah. Well, it's, you know, I have to give a shout out to Bakersfield, California. They work hand to hand with us. Peluso, California, 2 towns over from Bakersfield. I have to give them a shout out. They're working with us. So, you know, California
I
is
mean, I,
working.
I agree with you. I'm not saying that there's not
Right, right.
pockets
No,
within it,
no,
but the
right.
state itself has a huge problem with police, and they consider most pedophile hunters vigilantes in this state. Most departments do.
Well, yeah, but you got to go at them at the right way. You know, you have to go to them and be stern with them. You know, you got to be like, hey, I come to you first, and I'm giving you this evidence. I'm giving you the chance to work with us. If you don't work with us, then my team will go out and expose them. Now, do you want my team to go out there and expose them, or do you want to do it the right way, where no one's being at risk or no one's being at harm's way, as you guys think that the public is? Then you'll get on board and take over the case and do your job.
I see it different.
Like,
I see
yeah,
our state releasing sexual predators weekly right now for COVID, and then they're arresting business owners for not following compliance with what the state has fallen down. So I don't see it like that.
Oh,
I'm not saying that you guys every police department is bad. I'm not saying that at all.
right,
I don't not defund the police or anything like that.
right.
I just
But
I my experience, and I've lived from SoCal to NorCal, the large majority of police departments do not care about civilians trying to do what they perceive as their job.
I
right.
believe it.
There's a team that's out of California, and he has a hard time getting law enforcement to help, but he has, in a certain areas, gotten them to, take his evidence, take his phone, and pursue cases. So it definitely depends on the area. It depends on the
Right.
law enforcement. Depends on how persistent you are, how consistent you are. If they got to know you also. Is this just the one time you're doing this, or are you doing this all the time? Like, I think it depends on a lot of different things. But to move on, you mentioned to me FBI is involved. Can we talk a little about that, or are we not allowed to talk about that?
Well, we're working on a case right now in Alabama with the FBI agency out of Alabama.
Hmm.
Got a guy. We can't give no names, but we got a guy that's basically molested two real victims, and the
Wow.
two victims came to us. And well, one of our decoys were already on the guy,
Mm.
so we contacted law enforcement from our decoy standpoint and turned over all of our evidence. And now we're working with the FBI. We just now turned phone numbers over. So basically, he was talking to the decoy, but now he's talking to the FBI.
So they can build a way bigger case now.
Yes, a way, way
That's
bigger
amazing
case.
that, yeah. Amazing you
And
even get to be, have them be a part of the case. Like, that's a very big step in the right direction. And I'm sure, there's been, I mean, when we talked to ICAC, we felt like that was going to be helpful, and it ended up not being. So I hope that this ends up being very helpful, and they, can be even more helpful in the future, because that's definitely what we need. Is there any advice for anyone who wants to start their own team, or do you recommend people do this, or no?
yeah, I recommend people doing it, but before you doing it, I would, look up, the laws in your states. You want to make sure you have all your ducks in a row, because
Right, for sure.
if you don't and you get the wrong person or you accuse the wrong person, you could be sued.
Have you
So
ever caught the wrong person?
no,
No.
Have
no.
you guys ever caught a woman?
No, we haven't. That's, we've been, trying to catch them women, but I'll tell you, a lot of these sites that, a lot of these people are on, some are bots. When you throw out your profile as a boy and you get the feedback, it's mostly bot women. So on most of these sites.
Mm. Yeah,
So,
true.
it's kind of hard to play the guy role. Now, if you take the guy
Yeah.
to for guys that like guys, I'm not trying to be, you
Okay.
know,
You talk about Grinder app?
yes, Grinder. Now, if you throw a Grinder app out there, you'll catch them left and right. But that's
Yeah.
men, that's boy on men or whatever, men on boy. So it's kind of
Yeah.
catch the females. It is very hard.
Definitely harder to catch women predators. I've talked to multiple women online who thought that I was a child, and I had the same feeling. Like, I thought that some of them were men pretending to be women and trying to, like, fulfill this weird fantasy. They would make up weird stories, and it just didn't sound like what a woman would say. But when I did talk to the women, they're way more careful, they're way more strategic, they don't they're not they're not dumb like a man predator. Like a male predator, I could change the subject and they won't even think twice. They won't even want to go back to that question that they asked that I'm trying to avoid. The women predators, they won't let you get away with much. If they ask you about your parents and you just, like, brush it off and try to change the subject, she'll go back to it. She'll be like, "Hey, no, so what's up with your parents? Like, what do they do for work?" She'll try to get those answers, just like us as decoys get the answers that we get from the men. So you got to play that game very smart and take your time. With Amy, it was easy just because she had a, you know, a mental disability, and she needed to be obviously taught right from wrong. Obviously she wasn't for some reason. I don't know her situation, but that was a mess. But usually women are just more, you know, they just know what they're doing, and it's scary. It's scarier,
Very scary.
honestly.
I got a question. What do you do to get your mind off all this shit?
Well, I do have a full-time job, so I work from 5 to 1:30 in the afternoon, and then that takes my mind off of everything until I get home. And then when I get home,
That's good.
I relax for a little bit, and then I got 4 kids of my own, but 3 are still at the house, so I have them to take the mind off too. But when I'm in work mode, it's it's all over there.
Have you ever been scared to confront someone? Just like had a bad feeling?
No, I've never had a bad feeling, but I've when I get ready to go and bust somebody, I get that adrenaline rush. So, I get that, you know,
Right.
like
Oh
you're,
yeah, every time.
yeah, it's
You can't avoid those feelings. It's just like it's an odd feeling too, because it's like you want to get them, but then you're like, you think of, for me at least, I think of every possible situation that could happen too. I'm like,
yeah,
this could happen, this can happen. I got to be prepared. You got to have your stance. You got to just know all your surroundings. Like it's very, I don't know, just your mind is racing. It's very intense.
and when we go on bus, we always go like an hour before to be able to scope out the
Yeah,
area, to be able to sit across
right.
the
That's very
street or
smart.
and watch them pull in and then pull over there sometimes. But
Yeah, very smart. What's your end goal with everything that you do with worldwide predator hunters?
my end goal is to be able to bring awareness to more families and be able to help more families that has been victimized. Like I told you before, we are now a nonprofit organization. We are a 501c3. So what our goal
Congratulations.
is to be able to fund some of these victims that's been abused, you know, send them away on a vacation probably to be able to get their mind off of some things to, you know, them and them and their families, or get them counseling if they need it, to pay for that if their families can't afford it. Stuff like that.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's such a helpful way. You know how many people feel alone and feel like they don't have anybody or anything, or they're never going to see anything out in the world because they just feel like they can't, or they'll never be able to afford it, or nothing like that. And you're giving people a way to be able to accomplish all those things and have a group of people, because you have tons of people on your team, right? From all over the world. Like I
Yeah.
think you have the most people on your team out of all teams, right?
Yes, we do. As see, a lot of these teams, they only stay in their state, and some of these teams
Yeah.
they don't bring the community together, or they don't bring other
Mhm.
communities in together. As worldwide predator hunters, we check your background. We do a background check, and we don't care where you're from. You could be from California, New York, Nebraska, Iowa, wherever. We want you to come. We want you to be the part of fighting this nasty epidemic, as they're calling it nowadays, on
Mhm.
child abuse and child trafficking and all that. We want you to come and join us, because the more decoys, the more research that we have on our team, the more hunters we have on our team, the more we can wipe these apps out with these child predators.
Mhm. Well, shout out to your team. Shout out to you, everyone on your team. You know, there's got to be a huge long list, but congratulations to all of you for doing all the hard work that you're doing behind the scenes. And I mean, do you guys have petitions that supporters can sign?
Not yet. We will be getting them out here soon. now I'm going to be here soon. I'll be having my secretary of the board be getting them petitions around and getting what we need done and written up.
That's amazing. As soon as you get those petitions, make sure you send them to me, and I'll be able to talk about them in the next podcast that we do. And we'll link them in the description of that podcast so people can sign them. For the time being, I'll link a few petitions in the description so that you guys can sign them for now. Is there anyone who has got away? Like, is there a predator that has got away? Like, he was so disturbing and disgusting, and he didn't follow through with meeting, or he did follow through with meeting, and you didn't get to confront him. Is there like a guy like that that is just on your mind, and you feel like he got away?
Well, yes, I do. We do have quite a few of them that's got away from Wisconsin, as we had one guy work at McDonald's, and he thought he was coming to a motel to take this 15-year-old's virginity. He brought an
Oh
Uber.
no.
He brought an Uber and met the little girl at a little restaurant slash gas station. And the Uber dropped him off, and we told him to go over and sit at this round table. So he goes over there with his bag, and he goes over and sits down at that round table. We go up to him and we confront him, and we asked him what was in that bag. He pulls out a box of condoms. So, so he bought a room at the hotel. He brought condoms, and law enforcement didn't do anything. So everything was right there. So he's still walking the streets. That one really bugs me because he thought he was talking to a real 15-year-old. If he would have took a real 15-year-old back to that hotel, he would have had all game with her. So
Yeah.
that really, really bad.
Yeah, that's got to be extremely frustrating. Did you guys end up ever catching him again doing decoy work? Like, was he a
Not,
repeat offender or anything like that?
not yet. No, we haven't caught him, but I guarantee you sooner or later we will.
Yeah.
Do you have any like personal advice you could give to parents since you are both a parent and a hunter? Something that like maybe they could do to just I don't know, watch their kids out, something like along those lines.
Well, I'll tell you, you need to check your kids' devices all the time, even if your kids tell you that there's nothing on their phone. Just because they tell you there's nothing on their phone, don't mean there ain't. So make sure that you are checking them on a daily basis and just randomly ask for the phone. And believe me,
Yeah. 100%.
I've caught things on my kids' phones, and it wasn't a pretty sight.
What'd you
Pretty
do?
Oh, I had turned it over to law enforcement. And right now, I got a case that's going on in my town with my son and another older gentleman that's 54 years old. I don't know the guy's name. They won't give me his name. They won't give me no information about it because they know what I do already.
So you've been catching predators since 2018. That's going on like 3 years, right?
Yep.
How many arrests and convictions do you have?
Well, arrest and convictions, I've got at least 10 that's going through court right now. That's all over the states, between Illinois, California, Alabama,
That's
stuff
great.
like that, Minnesota. Convictions, we have 11 convictions right now until these 10 get convicted.
Wow.
And we
Yeah, that
have
is amazing.
one that's going to courts and will be sentenced on the 28th of this month.
That's great. And for the people that are listening, like they're like those numbers don't sound that high. Try getting some convicted. It's damn near fucking impossible. And the fact that you basically have 20 lined up, that's absolutely amazing, bro. Congrats to you and your
That is
family.
definitely a big number for us. It's a big number in our community for sure because I mean, we can ask any other team and they're not hitting that number right now. And it's unfortunate because we've all caught so many of these disgusting perverts, and our evidence, I mean, from what I know, we all send it over. We all do our best, and it's up to law enforcement on what they do. So I'm hopeful for this movement that's being created, save our children and save the children. That hashtag is going viral, and I'm hopeful for things to be, in motion, to change faster for us. Like,
That's
wouldn't
all.
it be amazing if we were considered bounty hunters, things like that? That'd be great for our community. We definitely have a lot more
A
to
lot
show
more.
for all the work we've done.
Yes, a lot more pool. I think, and tell you the truth, I looked in a lot of these laws, and if you guys, and I know Gina, you probably looked in a lot of these laws, but if you go and look at the statutes of some of these states, it says
Yeah.
that if you're using a computer or any kind of device and you think you are talking to an underage child, that is a felony. It doesn't matter if it's a real child or if it's a fake child.
I think
You
part of
know,
the thing that needs to
Enticement of
change.
a minor.
Well, no, I think part
Yeah.
of the thing is the laws almost need to catch up with the technology. I think that's part of the problem too, is they probably do have problems with prosecution and things like that because the technology has completely
Well,
changed
and the
from what it was.
history. The history of this runs deep. I mean, look at how long and how many of these sick bastards have hurt children for these past years.
Forever.
Forever.
It's a war that will never end. It's an unfortunate thing to say, but we will continue to fight this till the day we die.
Always.
you know how
And the
many
more
phones
people that are aware, like they are now, the only better it can be, hopefully.
you know how many phones we've been through? Too many. You know how many the police has kept? Too many.
Yeah, I would imagine it's got to be in the hundreds at this point.
It's
Yeah.
just I paid about
Good.
$800 my own pocket for to be a nonprofit organization. So, there's a lot of money that comes out of the pocket
That
when you're trying to do something like this. And if you want to be safe and you want to be successful, you got to buy, and you're out in the field, you got to buy a body camera because you get a lot of these guys will say that, you pulled a gun on them, or they'll say that you harmed them. Well, we have every which way of footage because all of our security wears body cameras. We all are about to be wearing bulletproof vests. So, we all have to pay it out of our own. So,
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize how much time and money from personal pocket it comes out doing this. They think it's just, having an internet connection and that's it. And it's really
mm.
not.
Nope, because you got gas money. You got to pay for gas to get to wherever you got to go. So
Yeah, when you lose your phones to evidence, you got to get more decoy phones.
yeah,
Like, we got a printer, so we were able to print out chat logs. Yeah, there's a lot going on behind the scenes that people don't know, especially with such a big team that you have. You've got decoys across the world, and you got to make sure that all your decoys have their chat logs, in order. You got to be organized as heck. It's a lot. I give you guys kudos for all the work that you're doing. You're very consistent. I love seeing your guys' exposures. Would you like to tell
you know,
everybody your socials? Where do you do mainly your exposures? On Facebook, right?
yeah, we do most of them on Facebook, but we're trying to work on as we do have a website. We're trying to get our broadcast built into our website where Mr. Zuckerberg can't, tear down our videos or tear down our exposures. So I'm trying to find somebody that knows how to embed and knows how to code webcam and broadcast and
I
to a web.
know a guy that does websites. He's a good friend of mine. I can recommend him to you. I'll send you his link. And he's very, very tech savvy, very smart. It'll cost you a little bit of money, but he knows what he's doing for sure.
Well, you know that everything ain't free in this world. You gotta pay. You gotta,
For sure.
you
Yeah, but
know,
he's good. He's good.
You get what you
people,
pay for.
Definitely worth it. Yeah.
you
He's
people,
definitely worth it.
people's got to eat too, right?
Yep.
People, people's got to make a
Yep.
living. So,
Yep.
but it was
I'll
nice
send you
meeting.
his info.
Yeah, Drew, you got anything else you want to like to ask?
I think that was my lineup of questions for you, brother. I mean, I'm just thankful that you came on and told your story. Hopefully, you come back on again and maybe talk some more.
Believe it or not, I'll come on anytime that you want me to. Just tell Gina, hey, get Jay back on here. I'll come back on.
Absolutely, man. It's much appreciated.
Like I
Well, sure.
said,
Congratulations on everything that you've accomplished too. I mean, that's definitely something to be proud of, and I'm proud of you guys. And you have my utmost respect. Anything that you guys need, you know, I'm here for you. You know, I'd do anything for you guys. So keep it up. I'm excited to see what the future brings our community. I'm very excited. So thank you for
you got,
listening, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Love y'all, banana cats. Peace.
Much love, Banana Cats. Peace.